When I was a genetics student at the University of Alberta, I can completely picture this great big poster of fruit fly DNA on the wall. And it had in its legend that fruit flies were thought to have 50,000 genes, and that went on to say that humans, being so much more complex, must have something on the order of 500,000 different genes. And that was what kind of informed my understanding. And it turned out to be just remarkably wrong. One of the great revelations of the Human Genome Project, the project that sequenced the 3.2 billion base pairs that every human has in all their 37 trillion cells, was that the number of genes, the number of coding sequences, the number that specify a particular protein, there were only about 23,000 of them. And this was really shocking news. How could it be that something that we think of as so miraculously complex be put together by so few separate instructions on how to make proteins? Well, it turns out that it spawned a whole variety of ways in which one gene can code for several proteins, and you'll cover those kinds of things in future courses, I hope. But it also brought forward this startling insight to the genetic material. As I said, you've got about 3.2 billion base pairs, but only about 23,000 genes. Now, when you do the math on this, and now that we know all the sequence information, we can come up with a percentage of DNA that's used specifically to code for proteins. The thing that we associate DNA with is genes. Now, how much do you think that is as a percentage? Is it 80%, 40%, 10%? Turns out to be about 3 to 5% of the DNA is actually involved in coding for proteins. It's remarkably small. What the heck is all the rest of the DNA there for? Well, it turns out that it has a variety of useful functions, but a lot of it is kind of historical baggage. And let me give you some examples of this. I don't know, maybe you know someone who was born with a rudimentary tail. Right? You still have the genes that impart that ability. Now, normally those are shut off. Here's an even better example. Many of you will know that modern birds are descended from the dinosaurs. And if you picture a dinosaur, one of the things you picture is these great big reptilian pointy teeth. And you certainly don't see those in any modern birds. But it turns out that, at least in quail, scientists have been able, after these millions and millions of years since dinosaurs existed, to turn on a switch that allowed reptilian teeth to erupt from the jaws in quail embryos. And I think this is so perfect. This shows the connection, not just through the Archaeopteryx and the kinds of intermediate fossils between dinosaurs and birds, but also this direct DNA connection. They have the stuff in them that allows these teeth to erupt because they were once dinosaurs so many eons ago.